This last move in the dollar has been one of the bigger surges in a two-year dollar rally, which looked like it topped out last October. I still think it has, and short dollar was one of the most crowded trades coming into even the second half of the year. So let's see. But if you trade EM ex China, look EWZ for Brazil, look INP for India. Those are two markets and economies that benefit from the things that are giving China problems.
Meantime, MasterCard on the move. Shares trading at all-time highs dating back to the company's IPO in May of 2006. The stock's rally, it's up nearly 17% this year, comes even as credit card delinquencies rise. The delinquency rate at the end of Q2 is at the highest it has been in more than a decade, according to the New York Fed. Julie, what do you make of this? How do you read this?
Well, I mean, I think this is kind of everything we've been talking about here for a while, right? Where we continue to be really concerned about the health of the consumer, particularly the lower end consumer. And I think a lot of it is everyone feels confident pointing back to, well, we still have this excess savings glut. And it really matters who's holding the excess savings. If it's in the top 1%, it's not going to get spent.
Oh, we have a little problem with Julie.
Ghost in the machine.
Ghost.
So, I mean, the good news is I'm sure she'll be back in a second.
The problem is not her analysis, by the way.
No, not at all.
She was smack on with that.
No, it's a police album, as we said earlier. Yeah. No, so this works for companies that don't take credit risk. MasterCard and Visa. More transactions are processed. I'm sure they care on the outskirts of credit risk and stuff, but it doesn't really affect them. One of the reasons they've outperformed American Express almost 2-1 this year is because of exactly that.
Coming up, all eyes on prescription drug prices. Investors await the first batch of drugs up for negotiation with Medicare. So which names could make the list and how will pharma stocks react? That trade is next. Plus, industrial size gains, the group leading the market for over the past week. And a few names are even hitting all-time highs. So can they keep boosting your portfolio? We'll debate that when Fast Money returns.
Got this. Let's go. Gobble, gobble. I've seen bigger legs on a turkey. Rude. Who are you? I'm an investor in a fund that helps advance innovative sports tech, like this smart fitness mirror. I'm also Mr. Leg Day 1989.
Anyone can become an agent of innovation with Invesco QQQ, a fund that gives you access to NASDAQ 100 innovations.
I go through a lot of pants.
Before investing, carefully read and consider fund investment objectives, risk, charges, expenses, and more in prospectus at Invesco.com.
In any business, you ride the line between numbers and people. What's right for the business and what's best for everyone who depends on it. Solving today's challenges while creating future opportunities. It takes balance. CLA, CPAs, consultants, and wealth advisors will get you there.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Don't miss our new member offer.
What Jim teaches you is use your money to work for you.
Join Jim Cramer and the CNBC Investing Club. Go to cnbc.com/club offer now.
The place to be is the club.
Oh, you got everything that I want. Oh, you got everything that I need. Oh, 'cause it's my Sunday morning. Oh, you got everything that I need. That's all I need.
Guys, how frustrating is it to find a great pair of jeans? Too loose there? Too long there? Standard jeans use just 2 measurements. Tailor custom jeans use 7 different measurements to give you the perfect fit. Your phone can measure you right now. Tailor on iOS or Android.
Kelly needs new floors.
I need new floors.
So she went to the flooring experts at LL Flooring, and it was as easy as 1, 2, 3, floor. Nice one, Kelly. LL Flooring, every step covered.
Welcome back to Fast Money. A huge week ahead for Big Pharma as the Biden administration gets set to announce the first 10 drugs selected for Medicare Part D price negotiations. Analysts are expecting treatments from Pfizer, Eli Lilly, Merck, AbbVie, and Bristol Myers to feature prominently on that list, which could be announced as early as tomorrow. We've talked a lot about the weight loss drug companies having extremely high multiples, but the rest of the group is really traded at depressed multiples in comparison, Tim. I'm thinking of your Pfizer, for instance.
My Pfizer is certainly one of them. And it's as if Pfizer did nothing before COVID and COVID vaccines, and they're treated as if they didn't. And how are they going to come up with, and they've spent a lot of money. They spent $25 billion and put that money to work pretty quickly. And the expectation is it's a pipeline that's worth $30 billion in revenues by 2030. We'll see. I do think that Pfizer is very interesting here. And I do think that these negotiations are political and headlines, and it makes some sense that they're pushing back. But I'd be amazed if they're able to get some of the victories. And I mean the government. I think the drug companies, when they get together, and we've seen individual fights being picked, but I think this is very complicated.
We certainly heard the commentary on the recent conference calls about this. It's really, the CEO speaking out again. We've seen lawsuits being filed against the government to stop this because these price changes would go into effect in 2026. Julie, how do you view this? Because, it's interesting. We'll get the list of 10, and in theory, maybe that'll give you some clarity, at least for a short amount of time. But yet the government can still add names to that list in the future. So, it's like a tiny sliver of clarity maybe for that day.
It's not much clarity, right? It's like asking for the list of all your greatest flaws. It's never going to be comprehensive, or at least it won't be for me.
I'm sorry.
But I think look, broadly speaking, the biggest challenges we're going to have are getting confident that the list that we have is going to be, okay, that's it. That's all we have to expect. We're not going to need any more of these cuts in terms of pricing. And I think, when you consider the margins of some of these businesses, it's hard for them to argue against Congress, right? But they also are able to leverage back and say, look, but that's how we do our R&D is, we make money on, the drugs that we have in our pipelines. And so that supports an industry that's very strong. Think of, we were the first to come to the COVID vaccine. So, I think that there is a lot of lobbying that happens. It's one of the strongest lobbying bodies. And so they are able to muscle their way. But Congress has to look like they're doing something. And this is a very easy villain to pick. Pharma companies are the easiest villain to pick.
A name like Eli Lilly guy.
Whilst you were gone, it made another new all-time high.
Right.
Now whilst. Is that
the
not a
same
word?
thing as
No,
back
it's Shakespearean.
It's like 1700s.
Yeah, it's very like powdered wig stuff.
Yeah, it's funny you say wig because I was the last person to vote when the Whigs were against the Tories back in the day, but that's probably a different show.
All-time high last
All-time
week.
high, and it's been on fire, but now valuations I think people will point to. It's very hard, in my opinion, for them to have the move they've enjoyed to continue the upside. There'll be a place to buy this cheaper. The one that's going to get really interesting really quickly is Eli Lilly, which has gone from 56 to 74 and change. Now here we are at $61. Valuation is reasonable to say the least, but there's a reason why it's cheap to its peers. But if you can buy this stock between, I think, 57 and 59 for a trade, and I think it's probably headed there, that could get really interesting really quickly, Mel.
So
wait, just real quick, just which stock is it?
Lily's cheap.
Bristol Myers.
Bristol Myers.
Didn't I say BMY?
No.
Oh, I apologize.
So BMY.
I'm getting old.
Bristol
BMY
Myers.
is cheap. Yeah.
I think that it's interesting because there's these haves and there had nots, and there's got to be some really good value in there, and it probably brings you back to some of these ETFs that make some sense. You don't have the idiosyncratic risk of, let's say, some of these weight loss ones that have done so well, and they're trading at really big multiples for a big pharma stock. And so, to me, maybe it's that XLV is the way to play this.
There's a lot more Fast Money to come. Here's what's coming up next.
Big Pharma in focus. A major change in prescription drug prices could be coming your way. The Medicare Part D update and the stocks that will be affected next. Plus, an industrial revolution. Several stocks hitting all-time highs. So what has these names building up gains? The Titans leading the industry ahead. You're watching Fast Money, live from the NASDAQ market site in Times Square. We're back right after this.
I'm Barbara, and I'm from St. Joseph, Michigan. I'm a retired school librarian. I'm also a library board trustee, a mother of two, and a grandmother of two. Basically, I thought that my memory wasn't as good as it had been. I needed all the help I could get. I saw the commercials for Prevagen. I started taking it, and it helped. I noticed my memory was better. There was definite improvement. I've been taking Prevagen for a little over 5 years.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription.
The biggest ideas inspire new ones. 30 years ago, State Street created an ETF that inspired the world to invest differently. It still does. What can you do with SPY?
My CPA told me I wouldn't qualify for the ERC tax refund, so I called Innovation Refunds. Their team of independent tax attorneys will work with your CPA to determine if your company is eligible. Take the first step to see if your small business qualifies.
With Allegra, allergies don't hold us back. Allegra starts working 2 times faster than Claritin. And unlike Zyrtec, it won't make us drowsy. Allegra gives you the fastest, non-drowsy 24-hour allergy relief so you can live your greatness.
Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World.
CNBC's daily digital show has trading updates, the latest headlines, a global perspective, and high-profile interviews. Scan to watch or visit cnbc.com/cryptoworld. Sponsored by Crypto.com.
Welcome back to Fast Money. A few industrial names hitting records today. Eaton Corp, Ingersoll Rand, both trading at all-time highs. Industrial stocks outperforming the broader market over the past few months, up more than 9% since June. The S&P up just 5%. What do you make of this move, Guy?
It speaks to, it's interesting. I think a lot of it is rotation into the names without question. Obviously, a lot of these high-flying tech stocks whilst you were gone. No, NVIDIA went from, it was 516 in the after hours, traded down to 450 and change its bounce. So I think there's been a rotation. Eaton's a great company. We probably don't talk about it nearly often enough if we talk about it at all. Problem, of course, now is going to be valuation. It's probably trading about 35 times trailing, maybe 28 times forward. These stocks get expensive very quickly given the runs that they've had.
Industrial's looking expensive, Julie.
Yeah, I think it's one of the kind of more underreported stories, right? Because the valuation explosion hasn't been as extreme as what you've seen in big cap tech, and it's not as sexy as AI. But for sure, you have to think, where are we in terms of the cycle for profitability and margins? A lot of these industrial businesses have done a wonderful job being able to price against what their product and value set is. If they start to feel more pinch from deflation, are they going to be able to maintain these margins? And then again, valuation is really important because those forward numbers actually look worse than you're expecting.
Well, if you think about some of the industrials that we spend a lot of time talking about, and you could even get into airlines if you wanted to, but those are transports. They get lumped into a Dow industrial, but some of the rails and some of I would say, again, shippers that would be fitting into an XLI. If you look at the contents of that ETF, there are parts of the industrial space that I actually think have pricing momentum. And we've seen actually some resilience in what's been going on with the shippers. I think industrials, in terms of the broadening of the market, were actually attractive because they were seen as valuation interesting at a time when people were obviously running from mega cap tech.
All right, coming up, don't call it a comeback. The IPO landscape gaining some traction after a rough 18 months, but is the market ready to welcome the newcomers? The details next, plus soccer star Lionel Messi making a splash in his MLS debut, and one streaming platform is scoring its own goal thanks to him. More on the big win in live sports when Fast Money returns.
Missed a moment of Fast? Catch us anytime on the go. Follow the Fast Money podcast. We're back right after this.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Is this your plan to watch the game today?
Yeah, I have to watch my neighbor's NFL Sunday ticket. It's not your best plan, but you know what it is? My plan from Verizon. Switch now and they'll give you NFL Sunday ticket from YouTube TV on them. This plan is amazing. Another amazing plan? Backing away from here very slowly. was Josh Allen.
Football season is here. Get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV on us, a $449 value. Plus, get a free Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 5, only on Verizon.
My plane has mechanical problems. I'll try to get there as soon as I can.
Breakfast looks delicious, as always. Having a chauffeur car plane side helps keep me on schedule. Hi, Jeff.
With all the plane shortages, did you have trouble finding one?
I never have any trouble. I simply pick a plane, pay, and I'm ready to badge it to my destination.
Are there any taxis around? I'm really late for my meeting.
Do we have a deal? Missed you at the meeting today. Badge it and don't miss out on the most important moments of your life.
Your return flight comped when you badge it.
Take a look at this! They've left us a gift. I think we misjudged them. I love horses. We should open the gate. Let's see what Charlotte thinks.
At CrowdStrike, we monitor trillions of cyber events to detect threats and prevent breaches before they happen to keep your business from becoming history. We stop cyber attacks. We stop breaches. We stop a lot of bad things from happening. CrowdStrike, protection that powers you.
Your best investment starts with CNBC Pro. The tools you need to become a smarter investor, powered by CNBC's team of market experts. Go to cnbc.com/joinpro for a special offer now.
At LL Flooring, we've seen it all.
It's a rental.
It's a remodel. It's a really bad day.
Can I do this?
You do this.
We help you find your right floor at the right price, turning indecision into your best decision. LL Flooring, every step covered.
I work at Lumi Deodorant, and I'm going to tell you how to get the best deal on Lumi. It's the starter pack. Go to LumiStarterPack.com to get the deal. You pick a stick of deodorant in the scent of your choice. You get a cream deodorant in your favorite scent. Then you get 2 free items. I got deodorant wipes and a mini body wash. And then this whole thing ships with free shipping. So now's your chance to try Lumi whole body deodorant with 72 hours of odor control. And this new formula, it's the best smelling Lumi ever.
If you have employees, you need to check out the ERC program, Chef Wonderful. Why, Mr. Wonderful? Because it's cash flow that you don't have to pay back. Good to know. This guy's so smart and so handsome. Go to wondertrust.com to see if you're eligible.
Welcome back to Fast Money. Stocks jumping to start the week. The Dow climbing more than 200 points. The S&P up 0.6%. And the Nasdaq leading the charge, up 0.8%. But the 3 indices are all negative for the month of August. The S&P and Nasdaq both on pace for their worst month of the year. Still a couple of standouts today. Boston Scientific, Western Dig, 3M jumping more than 5% after reports the company has reached a tentative deal to settle lawsuits over its combat earplugs. Meantime, Catalent shares jumping after hours. Reuters reporting it is close to a deal to grant board seats to Elliott Management. The tech IPO market showing some signs of recovery with ARM, Instacart, and Klaviyo all filing to go public in just the past week. Our next guest is no stranger to the IPO market, having spent nearly 10 years as Goldman Sachs' top software analyst. She recently joined InvestCloud, a software provider for the financial services industry, as its president and CFO. Heather Bellini joins us here at the NASDAQ on set. Heather, welcome back to CNBC. Welcome back to Fast Money. Great
Thank
to have
you
with
for
us.
having me. Thank you.
What do you make of this? How big is this window, in your view, for IPOs at this point?
I think it's all going to depend on how well these go. And you've read about some of the steps that they're taking to ensure that they're successful. I think that's really important to investor confidence. And the companies, such as the one I'm at, that look to follow on that path down the road. So I think it's really important to make sure that these go flawlessly over the course of the next couple of months.
How do you assess the market? What does it look like from your standpoint in this, from the standpoint of investors looking at maybe companies that are newer, may not have a set, profitability at this point in stage, may have some, uncertainties surrounding profitability with higher interest rates?
So it's a great question. I think, look, the last 10 years or so, we've had free money, as all of you know, and it's really easy to do the next round when you've got free money, and the valuations just kept getting more and more eye-popping. But what's been really good about the last 18 months, it's good and it's bad, but the good that's come out of it is that we're building better, sustainable businesses instead of growth at any cost. We're growing with sustainability in mind and not knowing that there's going to be another check around the corner. Where I am now, I've got great backers like Clear Lake and Motive Partners that are able to give us the funding that we need to grow the business and capitalize on what we see as the opportunities ahead. But it does take, I think we we all probably got a little too lax in terms of our, the efficiency at which we were allocating capital.
So Heather, you mentioned the free money period over the last 10 years or so. When you think about over the last year and a half since the Fed started raising rates, some of the biggest checks have been written to software companies in and around AI this year when we've had the quickest move of interest rates off of a zero interest rate bound. And you think about it, how do these companies grow into these valuations? We've seen $200, $300 million minting companies at unicorn status in like a Series A. That seems kind of bubbly.
So that is the one area I was going to say around AI where people are willing and making these big investments. And I think what they're doing is they're looking back on public cloud, and it really becomes an arms race, if you will, in terms of who's got the best large language models to be able to do this. So I understand what's going on there. I don't know how many of them are going to be winners, but obviously AI is going to be something just like the internet's pervasive, and we used to not think of it that way. If you were in the, thinking the mid 90s or late 90s, AI is pervasive in people's products, and people probably had AI before they even knew it was AI, right? I mean, we've embedding that type of technology into the products we have at InvestCloud for the last 10 years, but you didn't think of it as AI until probably the last year or so.
We spent a lot of time talking about the consumer. From your seat, what does the consumer look like?
From my seat, I mean, I think it's probably not the area that I focus on that much. I mean, I'm much more enterprise focused in terms of what we're doing and go to market. So I'm probably not the best person to help you with that.
Going back to the AI thing, I mean, you mentioned that a lot of companies already had AI. So when we hear companies now talking about AI on a conference call or whatnot, I mean, does your skepticism antenna go, I mean, do they go up and the alarm starts sounding off?
Well, you can you start counting the number of times a management team might mention it on a call. Everyone skates to where the puck is, and I think it's really about trying to see how we're going to be able to take this technology and harness it and really do great things and, digitally transform even more than what we've been able to do by leveraging this type of technology. So I understand why, everyone starts mentioning it on their calls, and it gets to what you were just saying about the valuations of some of these companies. But it's got a lot of promise, and I'm sure will transform industries more so than we ever thought possible.
So Heather, let's talk about enterprise then, and let's talk about and you can look at this through the lens, maybe not necessarily as your former seat as an analyst covering mega cap tech companies, but to the extent that you are focused on the enterprise spend, where are we? There's been a lot of distractions about where it was going to be. Maybe it's getting pulled into AI more than it should be. Who's suffering and who's benefiting?
So I think first and foremost, what we see in our business is, and we sell to tier one financial institutions down to small RIAs. There is a slowdown in spending, and people's budgets are getting scrutinized. It's hard to see that not happening given what's going on with the markets and what happened with financials in the first quarter. So it is harder.
Here last, it's the biggest stadium we have in our sport. Night sessions are the loudest tennis sessions or tennis matches that you can experience for a player and for a fan. So I'm super excited. It's been amazing. 3 matches, epic matches we played against each other in Roland Garros, Wimbledon, and Cincinnati. Recently, all the matches went the distance, physically grueling, demanding matches, but very exciting, very close matches that obviously something when it comes to rivalry that fans want to see. They want to see the best players in the world go toe-to-toe. So, hopefully we can give them another match here in New York.
And the US Open is being broadcast live by our partners Eurosport, with all courts and all matches on Discovery+. Okay, to the victor go the spoils. At least that's what they say. And for Victor Hovland, it's true. The Norwegian golfer has just wrapped up a remarkable season on the PGA Tour with back-to-back wins. Hovland won the BMW in Chicago last week, and then he won the Tour Championship in Atlanta on Sunday, which also means that he won the lucrative FedEx Cup and the $18 million prize. His dominant 5-shot win at Eastlake was his 6th PGA Tour title and his 3rd of the year, meaning that he's won almost $35 million this season alone. I watched his remarkable performance on Sunday and I caught up with him afterwards. Victor, many congratulations. You've had an incredible season and the last 2 weeks have been off the charts. Back-to-back wins and more than $21 million in the bank. How does it feel to be Victor Hovland right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's been, you know, I was still kind of already on cloud 9 after last week, after 61 and shooting 28 on the back 9 to win. Just to have a really good chance going into this week, and then obviously playing, I would say, even better this week. It's just been absolutely surreal, and I don't think it's sunk in quite yet.
You're still so young, which means it's not that long ago that you were riding the school bus.
Through with some of the, like, we are
bring them new customers.
We will absolutely drive big companies, and this is not just grocery, is you have a strategic priority list. What do you pull out to put something new in front of, and who's owning it, who in the organization, who's the loudest speaker, who has the most like opportunity to do it. And that is the hard part of selling anything into a massive company. It's not whether somebody wants to do a thing or not, because a lot of folks and a lot of companies are excited about new ideas. It's really like, how do you get to the heart of what the other person cares about enough to really drive something through? And I think one thing I'll say is, like, we were founded in Canada, a Canadian company based in Toronto. Now we predominantly American in terms of the store count and a lot of our staff. But we had a pandemic where I couldn't cross the border for 2 years. So like if you take away that block of time, and if I just happened to be stateside, I think we would have had more of those names on sooner. Now, saying that, we're in a very good position with a lot of the names that you shared, and we're really focused on.
So there's news coming, perhaps?
I think I'll have to be on here in a couple months again, and we'll have another update. I think that's the right way to go.
Okay. So what different verticals are you thinking about next?
So one of the most exciting things that we're actually doing right now with a third-party delivery company, one of our grocery partners, all of our grocery partners have distribution centers that have waste because they can't get through. So they bring all this food into these centralized locations, and then they try to send it out to their stores. And for whatever reason, there could be a breakdown, there could be a snowstorm, there could be a flood, and they can't get the food to their stores in time. So at the distribution centers, there happens to be a higher amount than normal of fresh food waste. And what we've done with one of our partners is partnered with a third-party delivery company and put a flash food storefront. So they took a location on that distribution center's facility, and they retrofitted it. It was like an old guard shed. They retrofitted it, cleaned it up, put a bunch of fridges in, and it's now a flash food storefront. And we actually have a Flash Food by Meyer storefront in Lansing, Michigan on the DoorDash app. So if you're in Lansing, Michigan, you can order groceries at up to 50% off delivered to your door.
That's great.
And
what's the business been like with that model? It's
well,
early, right?
It's early, and Lansing is a university town.
Yeah.
So without having the university in town,
That's true.
it just
Sorry.
there was no, it's fine. There were just kinks to for example, like at the beginning, there was only a 5-mile radius for delivery, and it just so happens that these facilities that are going to be with every CPG or every food company are going to be in places that not a lot of people live. So you learn things as you go. It's a brand new vertical for us, but that has since almost tripled in terms of like the coverage and the radius.
What's the delivery time though, or the delivery? Is it a long distance? No, not necessarily.
Same day.
Same day.
Same day delivery.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the cost for the delivery?
I think it's $5.
Okay.
It's dependent on the order size, but it's like between $5 and $10. But your order is up to 50% off the food that you're getting. So this is a model that we're testing out now. It's going well. It's going better than we anticipated at this stage.
Better than the original model?
I think it can be bigger than our original model in terms of the amount of food waste reduction. I think it's different. I think it adds a whole bunch of different partners. I think all of these CPG companies have locations across America.
Consumer product good.
Yeah, consumer product good companies have, I know that they have locations across America that have wasted their facilities. Like, there's a scenario here where this could be a really big vertical for us.
You also mentioned you have a bit of a reach on TikTok now.
Yeah, so
Is Josh a TikTok star?
No. The Flash Food brand, we would not have any reach if it was the Josh.
It could
brand.
happen, Josh.
We're getting
you
like,
and your wife.
yeah, exactly, and the kids. That'll probably be more exciting as people are unboxing, as shoppers are unboxing. So on Flash Food, you buy a box of produce and you see a picture of what's going to be in it, but a lot of times people are opening this box and they're seeing items that they've never tried before. So there's been like a pretty big unboxing theme on TikTok where people are sharing what they're getting, and then they're also sharing, for example, like one person getting 100 bananas for $5. They'll unbox it and they'll be like, they'll know they're getting a bunch of bananas, but they're like,